I think it would be really helpful for GPs if the appraisal service could produce what a good PDP looks like and what a bad one looks like.
I need to get better at joint injections. How will I achieve this? I will go on a course on joint injections. How will I be able to demonstrate that my need has been met? I will be better at joint injections. This is all very possibly extremely patient-centred, very important to that doctor personally and developmentally, a very important part of their plan. And it's very likely that a significant part of the appraisal was spent discussing this very important part of this doctor's work and scope of practice. However, when you look at the PDP in isolation, and I believe that the PDP ought to be able to be looked at in isolation and still make sense, there's no real sense of what the doctor actually intends to do and how they actually intend to demonstrate.
So to me that seems not unreasonable, that this GP does a lot of joint injections, wants to get better, so they're going to go and learn, and then they're going to implement what they learn. So if you think that's not as good as it should be, but that's still my aim to do that, how would you write it in a way that you think would be more appropriate?
Well, I think perhaps one of the better ways of doing it would be for the appraiser to challenge the doctor, in fact, to write it in a way that has more of an emphasis on direct patient care. So my suggestion would be that final part of the PDP, how will I be able to demonstrate that my need has been met? What impact can I demonstrate that this will have had on my patient care? So perhaps, for example, it might be possible to look at the satisfaction scores of patients after they've received their joint injections, before and after the course, something of that nature, so that we're taking it back to the root, which is the care of the patient.
So if that was to expand the scope of your practice, so I've now learned how to inject hands, shoulders, so that would expand my scope, but so long as I'm doing some reflection and some patient outcomes of that, that would be more acceptable.
I think so, because it's taking the focus back once again all the time to the care of the patient, or potentially in another kind of example, it might be taking it back to harmonious working relationships with colleagues or learners or something like that. But it's always, I think, would be ideal if the outcome were directly related to some kind of demonstrable improvement or change in practice, either clinically or in partnership, or whatever it is that is the aspect of development that the doctor wants to concentrate on.
What I'd like to share is one of the outputs that I often see is I will feel more confident. And while it's really important that the doctor feels more confident, that's not very measurable or demonstrable in terms of impact on patient care. So if we take the example of joint injections, what I would like to see as an appraisal lead is, where in the appraisal discussion did that come from? Is it merely, this has been part of my practice for 25 years, I've not reviewed it in this revalidation cycle, I feel that because it's a skill, I need to demonstrate that I'm keeping up to date with it? Or has it come from reading an article in Rheumatology magazine that says perhaps injections for tennis elbow are not as useful as we thought that they were? If you see where a target comes from, then you can frame how you're going to address that need in a much more detailed and specific way that lends itself to an outcome measure that actually forces you to take that step back and think about your practice and how you can demonstrate whether it's changed or improved, or indeed whether it didn't need to improve because it was very good already.